In this video, let us discuss the topic of judicial review. Judicial review is the power of judiciary to examine the constitutionality of legislative enactments and executive orders of both central and state governments. In simpler terms, judicial review is nothing but the power of Supreme Court and High Court to examine the laws made by the central and state governments, whether the laws are consistent with the Constitution. On examination, if the laws are found inconsistent or violative of the Constitution provision, that is ultra vires, they are declared unconstitutional, illegal, null and void by the judiciary. For example, the 99th Constitution Amendment Act, which deals with constitution of National Judicial Appointment Commission, was declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court in 2015. Supreme Court declares electoral bond scheme as unconstitutional as it violated the voters' right to information under Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution. Judicial review comes under the basic structure of the Constitution. The term basic structure was coined in Kesavananda v. State of Kerala judgment. Basic structure of the Constitution means that nothing can curtail the provision included in the basic structure of the Constitution to be amended or curtailed even by the Constitution Amendment Act. Example: judiciary, federalism, democracy, parliamentary system, separation of power, etc. Importance of judicial review: to uphold the principle of supremacy of Constitution, to maintain the federal structure, that is balance between state and center, to protect the fundamental rights of the citizen, to keep check on all the organ of government, be it executive, legislative, which derive its power from the Constitution. The courts are the ultimate interpreter of the Constitution. That means courts can check the legality of any constitution law made within the country. If it is found ultra vires or unconstitutional, the law is invalid and struck down. Constitutional provision for judicial review. Though the word judicial review is nowhere mentioned in the Constitution, the provision for several articles confers power to Supreme Court and High Court in the form of judicial review. These provisions are: Article 13 of the Constitution declares that laws inconsistent with fundamental rights are null and void. Article 32 guarantees that right to move to Supreme Court for enforcement of fundamental rights and to issue rights or direction for that purpose. Article 2 to 6 of the Constitution guarantees the right to move to High Court for the enforcement of fundamental rights. Judicial review of 9th schedule. First Constitution Amendment Act of 1951 added 31B, which saves the act and regulations included in the 9th schedule from being challenged on the grounds that it is in contravention of any fundamental rights. That is, to make it in simpler terms, the laws in the 9th schedule does not fall under the judicial review. But after 1973, the laws placed under the 9th schedule comes under judicial review if it violates the fundamental rights or violates the basic structure of the Constitution. The court held that judicial review is the basic structure of the Constitution and there could not be any blanket immunity on the 9th schedule. So right now, if even a law is placed in the 9th schedule, it comes under judicial review if it violates the basic structure of the Constitution or fundamental rights. Scope of judicial review. Though doctrine of judicial review is derived from USA, the Indian judicial review is narrower than the American judicial review. This is because Indian judicial review provides procedure established by law and American judicial review provides for due process of law. That means American Judicial Review reviews the law whether the law is not only unconstitutional but also examines its unreasonableness and policy examinations. In Indian Judicial Review, it reviews whether the law is violative of the basic structure of the Constitution and also goes into the question of its reasonableness, suitability, and policy implications.